Johnny Somali.
He's that one IRL streamer that went to Japan and streamed himself being racist to Japanese people.
Being obnoxious, being a nuisance, things you cannot do in Japan.
It's a mystery how he hasn't been deported or...
You won't believe the lengths Johnny Somali went to for clout, only to end up with an entire country, South Korea, hunting him down. Yeah, a whole country. Picture this, you're in a foreign country, you're soaking up new sights, new food, new people. But instead of enjoying it, you decide, hey, let's just throw out any respect for this place. Let's act like a complete maniac. Sounds absurd? Well, that's exactly what our guy Johnny Somali did. He wasn't there to enjoy the culture. He was there to make a mess of it.
Gonna come up to me, bro, why are you being racist to other people in other countries? For money, for clout.
I've said it many times. I don't give a I have no morals. I'm a sociopath. I don't give a
For Johnny, blending in was never part of the plan. His whole idea was to treat the locals and their customs like a joke, all for the sake of views. But what happened next? Well, Johnny didn't just annoy a few people, he got an entire country mad. From the locals to the police.
I swear to God, I'll change your life. I'll change your life, baby. Baby, I'll change your life, I promise you. You a bad here.
To online vigilantes, everyone wanted him gone. And now, after all this chaos, Johnny Somali's looking at a potential 29-year stay in a South Korean prison. Talk about content, right? Johnny Somali isn't your run-of-the-mill content creator. His thing is pushing limits, crossing lines, and trying to see how much trouble he can cause before he's finally stopped. Japan, Israel, South Korea, he's done it all, testing each country's patience to see who will break first. Spoiler, it's usually Johnny who breaks, though he's never quick to learn, each time pulling stunts that leave locals wondering if he was dropped on his head as a baby. When Johnny went to Japan, his trolling got him beaten up, jailed, and finally kicked out. He was detained multiple times in Israel, but he managed to slip away before things got too serious. But his third attempt in South Korea, let's just say that didn't go as planned. This time, he wasn't just a nuisance, he was public enemy number one. And now, he's stuck, facing more charges than a mobile data plan with no easy way out. So, what exactly did he do to make an entire nation want him behind bars? Johnny's antics in South Korea weren't just about causing minor disruptions. This guy was out for maximum chaos. From the minute he arrived, it was like he'd made a checklist of things that could offend people, and he was just ticking them off one by one. It didn't take him long to start bothering random women on the street. Imagine just trying to go about your day when this guy pops up with a camera, heckling you, making a scene, all while live streaming. For Johnny, this was entertainment, but I can guarantee everyone around him was thinking, who let this clown loose? One of Johnny's favorite pastimes in South Korea seemed to be causing as much of a mess as possible in public spaces. In one infamous incident, he was seen in a convenience store blasting loud music, tossing noodles around, and just generally treating the place like a garbage dump.
Shut up! Call the police! Shut up!
And when an elderly lady who's just trying to keep her shop running smoothly approached him to ask him to knock it off, Johnny's response was straight up rudeness. He cursed her out and dismissed her, ignoring every basic standard of respect and decency. Think about that for a second. Here's a local business owner, probably in her 60s or 70s, politely trying to get this guy to stop acting like a complete maniac, and his reaction was to insult her on camera. It's safe to say, by this point, Johnny had made his mark in South Korea, and not in a good way. But if that wasn't bad enough, Johnny took things even further. South Korea has memorial statues dedicated to the comfort women, victims of wartime atrocities. For Koreans, these statues aren't just bronze figures. They represent painful memories, respect, and historical justice. Johnny definitely thought they were props. He went so far as to pour baby oil on one of the statues, undress, and dance around it, practically mocking this painful part of Korean history. This was just content for him, but for Koreans, it was beyond disrespectful. It was downright insulting. As Johnny kept pushing boundaries, It was like watching a reality show where everyone wanted to vote him off the island. Social media in Korea blew up. People were sharing his location, tracking him, and alerting the authorities every time he went live. It was like the country had turned into one big, coordinated effort to get this guy to just stop. And it wasn't long before the police decided to step in. They started monitoring his activities, and soon after, his passport was seized. Now he couldn't just hop on a plane and leave when things got too hot. He was officially stuck in the country he'd spent weeks disrespecting. But the story only gets wilder. At one point, a group of locals reportedly raised a bounty to track him down. In one live stream, he even got punched by a random guy who'd had enough of his antics. And of course, Johnny called the police, probably thinking they had rushed to his rescue. But when they arrived, it wasn't just his attacker they dealt with. They detained Johnny too and ran a drug test on him. And guess what? He tested positive for THC. Now, for anyone familiar with South Korea, you'll know that drugs, especially things like THC, are strictly illegal. So now, on top of public disturbance and cultural desecration, Johnny was looking at drug charges too. At this point, he's facing a long list of charges. If found guilty on all counts, Johnny could be looking at 29 years in prison. Yeah, that's a potential lifetime for the guy who thought he was just having fun. With all this going down, you'd think Johnny would take a minute to reflect. But this is Johnny Somali we're talking about. Reflecting isn't really his thing. Instead, he decided to post a sarcastic apology video. In it, he said he didn't know the comfort women statues were important and blamed it all on American humor because apparently dancing shirtless around a memorial is just how they roll in the States.
I want to apologize to the Korean people. I was not aware of the significance of the statue. You know what I mean? It was just entertainment for my audience.
Right, and if that wasn't enough, he decided to double down by mocking the South Korean police, daring them to catch him if they can. Real smart, Johnny, as if by this point, they weren't already all over him. By now, his behavior was just feeding the public's determination to see him behind bars. A guy who set out to make a name for himself is now looking at 29 years in a South Korean prison. His antics have earned him a one-way ticket to a courtroom where he's facing charges stacked high enough to make even the boldest clout chasers think twice. What started as a wild bid for fame has turned into a nightmare that Johnny can't just log off from. This wasn't the ending Johnny planned. He thought he'd breeze through South Korea, stir up some controversy, and just fly home when things got heated with a few more followers in his pocket. But now, he's finding out the hard way that some countries don't play that game. He's stuck, his passport's gone, and his shot at freedom is shrinking by the day. Jack Doherty might want to take notes. Clout chasing comes with a cost, and if he keeps pushing, he could end up like Johnny, trapped by the very audience he thought he controlled. If you want more wild stories about clout chasers who took things way too far, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more.